The massive alien ship cast a shadow over New York City as it descended through the clouds. News reporters scrambled for their cameras, while police held back crowds of excited onlookers. This was humanity's first official contact with the Xylaxians, a species that had been watching Earth from afar for decades. John Chen stood among the welcoming committee, clutching his guitar case nervously. At 23, he was the youngest musician chosen to represent Earth's cultural delegation. His dark hair ruffled in the wind from the ship's engines as it landed in Central Park. The ship's doors opened with a soft hiss. Tall, elegant aliens with silvery skin and large purple eyes walked down the ramp. Their leader, Ambassador Cax, moved with grace despite being nearly 7 feet tall. Behind him walked his daughter Zora, her eyes wide, as she took in the crowds of humans. John couldn't help staring at Zora. Unlike the other Xylaxians who kept their faces neutral, she showed open curiosity. Her head turned at every new sound, from the chirping birds to the distant car horns. The formal welcomes began. Human leaders gave speeches about peace and cooperation. The aliens responded with their own carefully practiced words. John waited for his turn to show Earth's music to their visitors. Finally, the cultural presentation started. John's hands shook slightly as he opened his guitar case. He had practiced this song for months, a simple melody meant to show the beauty of human music. As his fingers touched the strings, something strange happened. Zara, who had been standing perfectly still like the other aliens, suddenly jerked her head toward him. Her large purple eyes grew even wider, and her silvery skin seemed to shimmer. John played softly at first, then built up the melody. Other humans had performed before him, painters showing their art, dancers moving gracefully, but none had gotten such a reaction. Zara took an unconscious step forward, her mouth slightly open. Ambassador Cax put a hand on his daughter's shoulder, stopping her movement. But John could see Zora's fingers twitching in time with the music. The other aliens looked uncomfortable, shifting their weight and glancing at each other. When John finished playing, Zora blinked rapidly, as if waking from a dream. Her father's grip on her shoulder tightened. The other members of the welcoming committee applauded, but the aliens remained silent. Later, during the formal dinner, John noticed Zora kept looking his way. Whenever their eyes met, she quickly turned away, but he caught her mimicking his guitar-playing motions when she thought no one was watching. As the evening ended, John packed up his guitar. A movement caught his eye. Zora standing in the doorway, staring at his instrument with longing. When she saw him notice her, she hurried away. That night, John couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Zora's strange reaction to his music. No one had told them that aliens might be sensitive to Earth music. As he finally drifted off, he wondered if he had accidentally discovered something important about their visitors, something that could change everything about human-alien relations. What he didn't know was that Zora lay awake in the alien compound, the melody from his guitar playing over and over in her mind. Her fingers tapped the rhythm on her bed as her body craved to hear more of this strange, powerful human music. John found Zora in his practice room again, the third time this week. She stood motionless, purple eyes glazed over, swaying slightly to the music coming from his forgotten phone. The playlist he'd left running was just simple pop songs, but she looked drugged, lost in the sounds. "Zara?" he called softly, not wanting to startle her. She didn't respond. Her silvery skin rippled with patterns he'd never seen before, swirls and waves moving in time with the beat. The sight fascinated and worried him. John reached for his phone to stop the music. The moment the sound ceased, Zara gasped like someone coming up for air. The patterns on her skin faded. I shouldn't be here," she stammered, her usually perfect English slipping. "But the sounds, they call to me. They make colors in my mind." John stepped closer, noticing how her pupils had expanded to fill almost her entire eyes. "What do you mean, colors?" "Your music," Zara whispered. "It does things to us. To me. The frequencies, they resonate with something inside." She pressed a hand to her chest. "Here, A crash in the hallway made them both jump. Two Zalaxian guards burst in, their silver uniforms gleaming. They'd been searching for her. "Princess Zara," one guard said firmly. John's eyes widened. "Princess." No one had told him she was actual royalty. "Please," Zara begged as they moved to escort her out. "Just a few more minutes." "The ambassador commands your presence," the guard stated. "The trade negotiations begin in an hour." John watched helplessly as they led her away. But before she left, Zara turned back. "The song about dancing in the dark. Play it again tomorrow. Please." The guards hurried her out before John could answer. He stood alone in the practice room, mind racing. He pulled up the playlist on his phone. "Dancing in the Dark" by Bruce Springsteen. What was it about that specific song? That evening, John secretly recorded the song's frequency patterns. The waves looked strange, almost like the patterns that had appeared on Zora's skin. As he studied them, his phone buzzed with an anonymous message. "Meet me in the botanical gardens. Midnight. Bring your guitar. Z." John knew he should report this. The diplomatic teams had strict rules about unauthorized contact, but his fingers were already typing a response. "I'll be there." What he didn't see was the security camera blinking in the corner, or Ambassador Cax watching the footage with growing alarm as his daughter's addiction to human music spiraled beyond his control. The secret midnight meeting changed everything. John found Zora waiting in the botanical gardens, her silver skin glowing under the moonlight. But she wasn't alone. "This is Vex," she said, gesturing to another young Zalaxian who stepped out from behind a large fern. "Show him, John. Show him what your music does." John hesitated, then began playing softly. Vex's reaction was instant but different from Zora's. While she melted into the music, Vex began trembling. Golden lines appeared on his skin, unlike Zora's silver swirls. "Each of us responds differently," Zora explained, her voice dreamy. "The music unlocks something in our genetic code, something our leaders have hidden for generations." Vex steadied himself against a tree. "Our ancestors," he gasped, "they banned all musical frequencies centuries ago, said they made us weak. But they didn't ban them, they locked them away." John's fingers froze on the strings. "What do you mean, locked away?" Zora pulled out a small crystal device, its surface pulsing with soft light. "This contains our true history. We weren't always just diplomats and scientists. Our people were musicians once, before the Great Silence." The crystal projected images, ancient Zalaxians playing strange instruments, their skin blazing with colors. But then came scenes of instruments being destroyed, musicians imprisoned. "The council claimed music made us emotionally unstable," Vex said. "Said it threatened our logical evolution. They erased it from our culture, but they couldn't erase it from our biology." A twig snapped nearby. They all froze. John quickly packed his guitar as Zara hid the crystal. Two human security guards walked past, flashlights sweeping the garden. "Tomorrow's the diplomatic summit," Zara whispered once they'd passed. "Father's going to propose a complete ban on human music in all future interactions. Says it's too dangerous." "We can't let that happen," Vex insisted. "There are more like us, young ones who need to know the truth." John looked between them. These two alien rebels risking everything for music. What can we do? Zora's eyes gleamed with determination. "Tomorrow, during the summit, we show everyone exactly what music really means to our people." "But John," she gripped his arm, "it will change both our worlds forever." As they planned their resistance, none of them noticed the small drone hovering silently above, recording everything. In his private chambers, Ambassador Cax watched the feed with growing horror. His daughter hadn't just found human music. She'd discovered their species' darkest secret. By sunrise, he had already sent an urgent message to the Zalaxian Council. Initiate Protocol Silence. The real war over music was about to begin. Protocol Silence struck at dawn. Every electronic device in the alien compound suddenly started emitting a low-frequency hum. The Zalaxians who had been exposed to human music collapsed instantly, including Zora and Vex. John discovered this when he arrived for the summit and found chaos. Medical teams rushed through hallways. Security forces blocked all entrances. Through a window, he saw unconscious aliens being loaded into transport vehicles. "They're taking them back to the ship," a voice said behind him. John turned to find Lisa, one of the human scientists, clutching a tablet. "Look at these readings." The tablet showed brain wave patterns. The hum was targeting specific neural pathways, the same ones activated by music. It was like a reset button for alien minds. John's phone buzzed. A message from Vex. "Storage room B, hurry." He found Vex hiding behind crates, shaking but conscious. "How are you still awake?" John asked. "Because of this." Vex held up a small device emitting a counter-frequency. "And Zara needs another. They're taking her to the ship for treatment, but really they'll erase everything. Her memories, her feelings, her connection to music." A plan formed. The summit hall was filled with the most powerful sound system on Earth, meant for presentations, if they could broadcast the right music through it. But as they moved to act, they discovered Ambassador Cax had anticipated them. The hall was guarded by both human and alien security. Worse, Cax had revealed a shocking truth to Earth's leaders. Music could make Zalaxians lose all self-control, turning them into potential weapons. Then John remembered something. The maintenance tunnels under the summit hall. During his practices, he'd seen old speakers down there, part of a backup system. "The crystal," Vex said suddenly. "The one with our history. It doesn't just show images. It contains frequencies. Ancient music." They had one chance. While the summit debated banning music, John and Vex crawled through dusty tunnels, carrying a guitar, a history-filled crystal, and desperate hope. Above them, Ambassador Cax began his speech about the dangers of human music, but he never finished it. The first notes of an ancient Zalaxian melody, mixed with human guitar, rose through the floor vents. What happened next would change both species forever. The ancient Zalaxian melody merged with John's guitar echoed through the summit hall's vents. The effect was instant and unprecedented. Every Zalaxian in the room transformed. Their skin erupted in brilliant patterns, not just silver or gold, but cascading rainbows of color. Some collapsed, others danced, and a few began singing in their native language for the first time in centuries. Ambassador Cax fought the music's effect, his skin flickering between dull gray and bursting colors. "Stop this," he commanded, but his voice carried an unfamiliar note: emotion. Zara broke free from her guards, her skin pulsing with light. "Father, remember." She began to sing, her voice carrying the same melody from the crystal. "Remember before the silence." The ambassador froze. Deep in his genetic memory, something awakened. His hands started moving in forgotten patterns, conducting an orchestra that hadn't existed for generations. But then everything went wrong. The combined frequencies triggered something unexpected. The Zalaxians' translator devices overloaded, sparking and smoking. Without translators, communication collapsed. Panic spread through the hall. Worse, the music affected their ship's systems. Its engines activated unexpectedly, anti-gravity fields fluctuated. The massive vessel hovering above New York began to pulse with the same colors as its crew's skin. "The ship's core," Vex shouted over the chaos. "It's resonating with the frequencies. If it destabilizes." They didn't need translation to understand his fear. The ship's power core could take out half the city. John watched in horror as Zara collapsed, overwhelmed by the ancient music's power. Other Zalaxians followed, their bodies unable to handle the rush of suppressed genetic memory. Ambassador Cax staggered toward his daughter, fighting the music's influence. For the first time, tears streamed down his silver face. He pulled out a small device, not the one suppressing music, but something older. "The harmony key," he gasped in broken English. "Take it. Only chance." As alarms blared and the ship's core grew unstable, John held a device that could either save both species or destroy everything they'd built. He had to make a choice. The harmony key fit perfectly into John's guitar's sound hole. Instantly, the chaos transformed. The wild frequencies stabilized. The ship's core stopped pulsing. Most surprisingly, the Xylaxian skin patterns shifted into synchronized waves of gentle light. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, rushed forward with scanning equipment. The key. It's not suppressing the music, it's harmonizing it. Look. Her screen showed 2 DNA strands, human and Xylaxian, vibrating in perfect sync. The ancient device wasn't meant to silence music. It was designed to bridge species. Zara regained consciousness, but something was different. "I can control it now," she said, her skin rippling with deliberate patterns. The music, it's not overwhelming anymore. It's beautiful. Ambassador Cax stepped forward, his own skin glowing softly. The harmony key was our ancestors' greatest achievement, not to silence music, but to share it safely across species. We forgot its true purpose. The ship's database, unlocked by the key's frequencies, revealed the truth. Centuries ago, Xylaxians hadn't banned music because it was dangerous. They'd locked it away because they predicted meeting other species, like humans, and feared their natural resonance would prevent diplomatic relations. But their ancestors had left the key, waiting for the right moment, the right human, to unlock their legacy. Dr. Chen's analysis proved revolutionary. The key allowed controlled release of musical sensitivity in Xylaxian biology. They could now experience music without losing control, and more incredibly, use their skin patterns to create visual music humans could see. In the summit hall, something unprecedented happened. John started playing a soft melody through his key-modified guitar. Zara's skin danced with colors, translating the music into light patterns. Other Xylaxians joined, adding layers of visual harmony. For the first time in centuries, 2 species created art together. But in the ship's secured communication room, a warning flashed. Other alien species had detected the harmony key's activation. Some welcomed it, others feared it, and one particular species, the Mirakai, saw it as a threat to their control. As the first human Xylaxian concert ended, a new signal reached Earth. The Mirakai battle fleet had changed course. They were coming. The Mirakai battle fleet appeared as dark shadows against Earth's moon. Their ships, designed to absorb light and sound, created patches of absolute silence in space. Earth's military prepared for war. But John, Zara, and Ambassador Cax had another plan. In Times Square, they built something unprecedented. A massive concert stage surrounded by both human and Xylaxian technology. The harmony key had been modified, its power amplified through a network of satellites. "The Mirakai aren't just coming to stop us," Zara explained, her skin showing complex equations. "They're coming because they're like we were, trapped in silence." John understood. The Mirakai hadn't evolved to suppress music. They'd been forced to. Their ships weren't weapons. They were prisons of silence. As the Mirakai fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the concert began. John's guitar, enhanced by the harmony key, played the first notes. Zara's skin erupted in synchronized light. Thousands of Xylaxians joined, their bodies creating a living light show that rivaled the northern lights. The Mirakai ships froze mid-descent. Their dark surfaces began to crack, revealing crystalline structures underneath that had been hidden for millennia. Through the harmony key's frequencies, they received a message. The Mirakai weren't a separate species. They were Xylaxians who'd fled during the Great Silence, choosing eternal darkness over losing their music. Their ship's silence was protection, not aggression. As the symphony reached its climax, the Mirakai ships transformed. Their black surfaces shattered completely, revealing vessels made of pure crystal. They joined the concert, their ships resonating with frequencies that had been locked away for generations. The music that day created more than art. It reunited a species, healed an ancient wound, and proved that the universe's greatest power wasn't silence or control, it was harmony. 1 year later, Earth hosted the first interstellar music festival. Species from across the galaxy came to share their sounds. The harmony key had been replicated, allowing safe musical exchange between all races. John watched from backstage as Zara prepared to perform. Her skin danced with colors that told their story, of fear overcome, of barriers broken, of love found in the most unexpected frequencies. She smiled at him, her patterns forming the notes of the first song he'd ever played for her. Around them, the universe sang. End.